Your future isn't being destroyed by one bad decision. It's being shaped by 100 small ones you're not paying attention to. Right now, today, in the quiet moments when no one's watching, you're building something, and it might not be what you think. Because the habits that ruin your future don't announce themselves. They don't feel destructive. They feel normal. And that's exactly why they're so dangerous. Let's talk about the silent habits quietly stealing your future. Before it's too late to change them, the most dangerous habits are the ones you don't notice, not the obvious ones, not the dramatic failures, but the small, quiet patterns that feel harmless in the moment and catastrophic over time, choosing comfort over growth, not today, but every day for 5 years, avoiding difficult conversations, not once, but consistently until your relationships become superficial, consuming instead of creating, scrolling instead of building, distracting instead of focusing. These don't feel like problems. They feel like life. And that's the trap. Because dramatic failures get your attention. You course correct. You change. But silent habits, they operate in the background. And by the time you notice the damage, years have passed. You look around and realize you're not where you thought you'd be. And you can't even explain how you got here. Because it wasn't one big mistake. It was 1,000 small choices, repeated, compounded, over years. And now those choices have become your default. This is how potential dies. Not suddenly, quietly. Most people spend their 20s and 30s building habits they think are harmless. Then they spend their 40s and 50s living with the consequences. And the hardest part, they genuinely don't understand what went wrong. They worked, they showed up, they tried, but they never questioned their defaults, never examined the small behaviors running in the background, and those defaults quietly shaped everything. Your health, your relationships, your career, your sense of self. All of it influenced by habits so subtle you didn't even know they were there. Until one day you wake up and realize, this isn't the life I wanted, and I don't know how I ended up here. That's the danger of silent habits. I know someone who spent 10 years drifting, not failing, not struggling, just drifting. He had a stable job, a decent apartment, a predictable routine. Wake up, work, come home, watch TV, scroll, sleep, repeat. Nothing about it felt wrong. It felt normal, safe, comfortable. But somewhere deep down, he felt uneasy, like he was supposed to be doing something more, building something, becoming someone. But he never did, because there was always tomorrow. He'd think about starting a side project, but after work, he was tired, so he'd relax instead. He'd think about learning a new skill, but it felt overwhelming, so he'd scroll instead. He'd think about having real conversations with the people he cared about, but it was easier to keep things surface level, and none of this felt like a problem, because nothing bad was happening. He wasn't failing, he was just existing. Then one day he ran into an old friend, someone he used to talk about big ideas with, someone who used to dream alongside him. His friend had spent the last 10 years building, starting a business, failing, trying again, learning, growing. And when they talked, his friend asked, "So what have you been working on?" And he realized nothing, not one meaningful thing, not one project, not one skill, not one uncomfortable conversation that led to real growth. He'd spent 10 years in the same routine, the same comfort zone, the same defaults. And his friend? His friend had built a completely different life, not because his friend was smarter, or more talented, or luckier, but because his friend had different defaults. When his friend felt tired, he worked anyway. When something felt uncomfortable, he did it anyway. When distraction called, he said no. Small differences, repeated daily, for 10 years. And those small differences had compounded into completely different lives. That's when he realized nothing dramatic had ruined his future. It was repetition, the quiet repetition of habits he'd never questioned. And now, 10 years later, he was exactly where those habits had been leading him all along. Comfortable, safe, unfulfilled. Let me explain this like an engineer. Every system has defaults, settings that run automatically unless you consciously change them. And most people never change their defaults. They just let the system run. But here's the problem. Defaults aren't designed for optimization. They're designed for ease. Your brain's default is comfort. Avoid pain. Conserve energy. Stay safe. That's great for survival, terrible for growth. So if you never question your defaults, you'll drift toward comfort, automatically, without even realizing. And comfort feels fine, until you look up 10 years later and realize you've been optimizing for the wrong thing. Systems don't fail suddenly, they decay. A bridge doesn't collapse one day out of nowhere. It weakens over time. Small cracks, tiny shifts, ignored maintenance. And then, one day, the damage becomes visible. But the damage didn't start that day. It started years ago. Your life works the same way. The habits you're running right now, they're either building or eroding. And if you're running on default settings, comfort, avoidance, distraction, you're eroding, slowly, quietly, until one day the gap between where you are and where you wanted to be becomes too wide to ignore. But by then, you've spent years reinforcing the wrong patterns, and changing becomes exponentially harder. That's why silent habits are so dangerous. They don't feel urgent until it's too late. So, what are the silent habits quietly shaping your future? Avoiding discomfort. Every time something feels hard, you choose the easier path. You tell yourself you'll do it later. But later never comes. And over time, you train yourself to avoid anything that challenges you. Constant distraction. You can't sit with your thoughts. You can't be bored. So you fill every moment with noise, scrolling, watching, consuming. And you never give your mind space to think, to plan, to create, delaying hard conversations. You avoid conflict. You keep things surface level. You don't say what you really think, and your relationships stay shallow. Because real connection requires honesty, and honesty feels uncomfortable, settling for familiar routines. You do the same things every day, not because they serve you, but because they're familiar. And familiar feels safe, even when it's slowly killing your potential, consuming more than creating. You take in content endlessly, but you don't make anything. You don't build. You don't contribute. And over time, you become passive, a consumer, not a creator. These habits don't feel destructive. They feel normal, but they're quietly programming your future. Because what you do daily becomes who you are, and who you are determines where you end up. You can't avoid discomfort every day for 10 years and expect to be resilient. You can't distract yourself constantly and expect to build focus. You can't delay hard conversations and expect deep relationships. You can't settle for routine and expect growth. You can't only consume and expect to create something meaningful. It doesn't work that way. Your habits are your operating system, and your operating system determines your outcomes. Most people never change these habits because nothing feels wrong yet. They're not in crisis. They're comfortable. Things are fine. And as long as things are fine, there's no urgency to change. But fine is a trap, because fine keeps you from building great. And by the time fine stops being fine, you've spent years reinforcing patterns that are now deeply embedded. Changing at that point isn't impossible, but it's hard, because you're not just changing a habit, you're redesigning your identity. And most people would rather stay comfortable in an identity that's not serving them than face the discomfort of becoming someone new. So they don't change. They just keep running the same defaults and hoping somehow things will improve. But they won't, because the future you get is the future your habits are building right now, today. And if your habits don't change, neither does your trajectory. I need you to understand something. Your future is being written right now, in the small choices you make when no one's watching. Choice to do the hard thing, or take the easy path. Choice to focus, or distract. Choice to have the conversation, or avoid it. These aren't small decisions. They are your life, being built, one choice at a time. And right now, you're either building toward the future you want, or away from it. There's no neutral. Every habit is either moving you closer or further. And if you're running on default settings, comfort, avoidance, distraction, you're moving further, quietly, invisibly, but definitively. So the question is, are you willing to change your defaults? Not someday, not when it feels easier. Now, because the time you're spending in comfort, that's time you're not spending building. And time doesn't wait, it just passes. And one day you'll look back and realize, the life I have is the life my habits built, and the only question that will matter is, did I build it intentionally, or did I let my defaults decide for me? That's the choice, and it's happening right now. Silent habits don't announce themselves, but they shape everything, and the damage they cause isn't dramatic, it's cumulative. One day of distraction doesn't ruin your focus, but 1,000 days does. One avoided conversation doesn't destroy a relationship, but years of avoidance does. One comfortable choice doesn't derail your growth, but a decade of them does. That's how futures are lost, quietly, one default at a time. But here's the truth. Awareness is the turning point. The moment you see the pattern, you can change it. Not all at once, but one choice at a time. Choose discomfort, intentionally. Choose focus, deliberately. Choose the hard conversation, courageously. And over time, those choices become your new defaults. And your new defaults build a new future, not someday. Starting now, your future is being written. Make sure you're the one writing it. This is Unstoppable Mind.